Hey there everybody. Funny story to start off with. I just did about 5 minutes of this video, but I didn't have it on video, I had it on photo, so I was really just talking to myself. So I looked up to check the time and it wasn't timing because it was a photo. So I'm starting all over again. So this is take 2. Hello. How are you? It is Monday the 25th right now as I'm shooting this video, and you guys have a holiday, so I hope you're enjoying time with your families. I am here working, and that's what I like to do. So I spent some family time this weekend. We had a fire out in the fire pit both nights. We had a picnic. It was my dad's birthday a couple of days ago, so we've had a lot going on. So trying to enjoy things when I can, for sure. So let me just talk to you first of all about homework. It's really the best habit to get into because we don't know how long this social distancing and remote learning is going to go on. I'm not saying this is a possibility, but what if there is a possibility of starting school in September through remote learning? It's great to learn better habits. And one of the habits is English is on Tuesday. It's really best to listen to the videos, listen and watch the PowerPoints if there are a PowerPoint, and get your homework done on the day it's assigned. It's designed that way to help you stay organized. English should take no more than between 2 and 2.5 hours to watch the videos and to do the homework, and then you're done. And that way I can grade things and get things back to you, and I don't have to spend Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, or the weekend, emailing you or phone calling you and saying, hey, where's your work? Hey, where's your work? The next week. So in period 4 and period 6, 1/3 of each of the classes didn't turn their homework in yet. And I get it. It's Monday right now as I'm shooting this video, so I may see some of those assignments today. But a lot of people are handing in late work. And in period 8 class, there's at least half of the students who haven't turned in the work yet. So please do your best to take care of that, okay? Just to go over the checklist, what we're doing is, you're watching me in this video, and I'm going to be talking about this week's illusion, which is Atlas, pastoral poetry, which is something that we're going to be doing that's new, and I'm going to define that. I'm going to explain both choice exploration assignments and the independent practice. You're going to be watching and listening to Miss Boutan's PowerPoint presentation. It's only about 20 minutes long, but you must absolutely watch and listen to this to do the independent practice. Some of you tried to get away with not watching the PowerPoint when you did the blackout poetry, and that didn't work. So what you have to do when you go to the PowerPoint link and you see the first slide of the PowerPoint, up at the top there's this little icon that looks like a desk, and it should say slideshow. Click Start Slideshow, and that's when the audio will start kicking in. So if you're watching it and you're not getting audio, go back, start it again, and hit Start Slideshow, and that's when you'll hear Miss Boutan's lecture. For those of you who don't know Miss Boutan, she is the other English 10 teacher, and she's phenomenal. We're going to read this week's illusion, then you're going to comment on Schoology. You'll complete one of the choice exploration assignments, and then complete the independent practice, which is to write a pastoral poem. So we'll talk about the illusion, the first thing that we do, and this is illusion number 9, Atlas. And Atlas is known as the heaven bearer, and this is kind of a tiny picture, but you can get an idea. Atlas is typically portrayed as holding the world on his shoulders. And a reminder of what an illusion is. It's a brief and indirect reference to a person, place, thing, or idea of historical, cultural, literary, or political significance. It does not describe in detail the person or thing to which it refers. It's just a passing comment, and the writer expects the reader to possess enough knowledge to spot the illusion and to grasp its importance in the text. We use illusions in writing to make the writing more interesting and vibrant. We also use them in everyday conversation. So let's talk about Atlas. Atlas was a Titan god of endurance. He was also identified as a god of astronomy because he was the first who instructed mankind in astronomical science, which was basically used for navigation and for measuring the seasons. It is said that he surpassed all others by mastering astrology and was the first to discover spherical nature and therefore was named as the heaven bearer. During the war against the Olympians, Cronus made Atlas their leader, mostly because of his war skills, his extreme orientation knowledge, and his durability. As it turned out, he was quite a leader, and it looked like for a long time they were going to win the war. However, they were outnumbered in the end because Cronus made too many enemies during his rule. Atlas was, unlike his relatives, condemned to a special punishment created by Zeus himself. He made him as the eternal caretaker of the axis between the heavens and the earth, which were controlled by the ancestors of the past. Because of his endurance, Zeus believed that he was just going to be able to hold them and do nothing else in the meantime. He was right. Atlas was barely supporting the enormous weight of the heavens on his shoulder. Since artists couldn't depict Atlas holding the heavens, he's most often depicted holding the earth on his shoulders. So the meaning today is that when a person is heavily burdened, emotionally or with too many responsibilities, it is said that they are carrying the weight of the world on their shoulders. And this is an allusion to Atlas. So if you've ever heard, which I'm sure you have, carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders, this comes from mythology and it is a reference to Atlas. So what you're going to have to do with the discussion board this week is you're just going to have to name someone who has the weight of the world on their shoulders and explain why and how that is. This person can be a musician, an athlete, a social influencer, a celebrity, a politician, but it could also be just a regular person that you know. If it is a regular person that you know, please don't use their name. You can say something like a relative of mine, or a friend of mine, or a teacher of mine, or maybe it's you yourself. Tell why that person has the weight of the world on their shoulder, and then you're done with that assignment. So that was easy peasy. So let's talk about pastoral poetry. It's probably something you've never heard of before. So let's just get started. Pastoral, P-A-S-T-O-R-A-L, is a genre. And there are pastoral songs, there are pastoral artworks, and there's pastoral poems. Pastoral poetry is known for exploring the relationship between humans and nature, and for romanticizing the ideals of a simple country life. The enduring popularity of the pastoral poem suggests a wide resonance with these ideals, which means that people really look to nature to get away from things, and so that's the enduring quality of pastoral poetry. So what is a pastoral poem? It explores the fantasy of withdrawing from modern, everyday, most typically city life to live in an idyllic, peaceful, and perfect rural or country setting. It can be the ocean, it can be the mountains, it can be the fields, it can be the streams, anything having to do with nature and escaping the busyness of city life to get away from it all. No matter the form or structure the poem takes, it can be rhyming, it can be free verse, doesn't matter. This focus on idyllic country life is what characterizes it as pastoral poetry. The purpose of the pastoral poem is the idea that there's an idealized version of country life in which humans live simply, they live harmoniously, they live peacefully with nature. Other common themes that characterize pastoral poetry are a beautiful natural setting. Typically and historically, it was about shepherds and shepherdesses or farmers. The idea of a return to a golden age where humans lived in complete harmony with nature. and the focus on imagined life in the country rather than reality. The working belief that country life is superior to urban or city life. And during different eras throughout history in the world, all over the world, people have longed to escape the chaos, the noise, the crowds, the pollution, the industry of city life in order to escape to the country or a more simple life. And if people can't escape in reality, they escape through song, through art, through poetry, through reading. And so people enjoy reading pastoral poems because it helped them to escape the reality of their lives. I have a couple of examples here. In the mid to late 1800s in this area, wealthy families known as the Vanderbilts, the Rockefellers, the Morgans, were in the railroad industries, the mining industries, and finance in New York City. Well, they escaped city life during the 1800s to build lavish, expansive summer homes in the Adirondacks. And so they came to the mountains to get away during the summers. And then now, even during the coronavirus, many wealthy city dwellers, they escaped to their summer homes to get away from the virus and the crowding of the cities, and they moved to more rural settings where they have second homes. So that's the idea of pastoral poetry. And Miss Boutan's PowerPoint presentation is going to be explaining it more in depth, and she's going to analyze 2 poems with you and show you what they look like and how they should sound. And I don't know if you can hear my dog snoring. I'm going to see if I can peek over here at her. Oh, I can't switch this around. Hold on. You ready? She's still snoring, but I don't think you heard her. Isn't she adorable? Her name is Annie. She's a golden doodle, and she weighs about 105 pounds. Okay, so I'm just going to explain the assignments, and then my video will be done. The choice exploration assignment, there are 2 of them. Oh, I guess I stapled them together. One of them is what you've been doing recently, which is reading comprehension. So there's a poem by Robert Frost. You may be familiar with Robert Frost. It's called The Tuft of Flowers, and it's a longer poem, but it's just 2-line stanzas, and it's a rhyming poem. So I'll give you an example. I went to turn the grass once after one, who mowed it in the dew before the sun. The dew was gone that made his blade so keen, before I came to view the leveled scene. So it's basically about mowing a field, seeing these flowers, butterflies. It's pastoral. It's about nature. This was written in 1896. There are some words that you don't know, so please make sure that you Google those definitions, okay? It will help you to comprehend the poem better, like whetstone, W-H-E-T-S-T-O-N-E. That's important to know in this poem. And then there are 5 questions to answer with this poem. So that's choice exploration number 1, reading Robert Frost's poem from 1896 called The Tuft of Flowers and answering 5 comprehension questions. And if you don't feel like doing that and you feel like being a little bit more artsy, you can do something called a rural and urban contrast. Rural meaning country, urban meaning city, so the contrast between city and country. So as you know, pastoral poetry deals with the idealistic view of rural life. Nature and agriculture are portrayed as the ultimate happiness. The feeling often stems from the frustration associated with urban or city life. You're going to create a collage or illustration of the difference in rural and urban environments. Be sure to highlight their differences in your final product. You may draw the contrast yourself or create a collage using images you find online. You must use color. Your images should highlight the following aspects of each environment. What kinds of people live in each environment? What kinds of animals live in each environment? What does each environment look like? What can be found in each environment? So you could simply draw like a forest scene perhaps, and then a city scene, and just put it on the same paper as a contrast and take a picture of it and send it to me. And then your independent practice for the week. This is where you get to try your hand at writing this type of poem. You're going to choose a rural environment. Are you in the mountains? Are you in the plains, the valley, the desert, the ocean? Where are you? Choose the mood that you're trying to convey. Typically, pastoral poetry is peaceful, happy, content. So that's probably the tone you're going for, the mood. You're going to use figurative language whenever you're writing poetry. Remember hyperbole, which is exaggeration, alliteration, which is the repetition of the beginning of the sounds, personification, which is giving human qualities to things that aren't human, similes and metaphors, which are comparisons between two things that aren't alike. One of them uses like or as, one of them doesn't. Try to highlight the positivity in the nature surrounding you in your poem. It needs to be at least 15 lines. It has to use imagery and engage your 5 senses. It needs to incorporate examples of other types of figurative language that I just discussed. And your poem can rhyme, but it doesn't have to. And here's an example of a pastoral poem written by Miss Boutin this week. It's called Mountain Clarity, and it's a 3-stanza poem, 4 lines in each stanza, and it's rhyming. And she loves the mountains just like I do, so here we go. Mountain Clarity. True clarity can only be found when I am summit bound. With each step toward ascent, I reflect on the world without repent. I hear my boots crunch the leaves, and I stop to feel the summer breeze. I have no responsibility other than pushing past the next acclivity. The higher I ascend, the more sunlight filters through. With the warmth on my skin, I am faced with the truth. Here is where happiness lies, hiking higher and higher toward the skies. There, she did a nice job with that. So this is my video. I'm done. 2 reminders. Make sure that you watch and listen to that PowerPoint presentation. Watch and listen. You need to get audio. Email me with any questions and get your homework done as soon as possible. It will help you and it will help me, because if you don't get homework done, I have to email and phone call you multiple times until I get it, okay? I miss you all so very much. I hope you're doing well. Take care.